Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tracing the path of a modern-day pilgrim across the vast Tibetan plateau. Now, this is a journey that starts with a really clear spiritual goal, but it quickly morphs into this totally unexpected battle against the elements, against illness, and maybe most powerfully, against a profound sense of loneliness.
So the story kicks off with this beautiful, deceptively calm image. Our narrator, Nick Middleton, is leaving a place called Ravu, and the sky is just perfect. It's one of those flawless, peaceful mornings that gives you absolutely no clue about the extreme challenges waiting just around the corner on the road to Mount Kailash.
And make no mistake, this isn't some casual sightseeing trip. Our narrator is a pilgrim. His journey has a single, sacred purpose that's going to push him right to his physical and spiritual limits.
Right, so the destination is the sacred Mount Kailash, and the whole point? To complete the Kora. He sets off with his guide, Teton, and he's wearing this really thoughtful farewell gift, a long-sleeved sheepskin coat. It's actually the traditional gear of the local nomads, the Drokpa, so by putting it on, he's immediately connecting with the land and its people.
Now, you have to understand, this idea of the Kora is the absolute heart of the story. It's so much more than just a long walk. It's like a moving meditation, a physical act of devotion that's believed to wipe away a whole lifetime of bad karma. It's this ancient, powerful tradition that's pulling our narrator across one of the most unforgiving landscapes on the entire planet.
To get to Mount Kailash, Chetan, the guide, he knows a shortcut. But, and it's a big but, it comes with a catch that just kind of hangs in the thin mountain air if there is no snow. Such a simple condition, right? But it's a condition that is about to define this entire leg of their trip.
As they start driving, the landscape just opens up into this vast, beautiful emptiness. They pass these solitary nomads, the Drokpa, and see these incredible sights like huge herds of kyung, that's the Tibetan wild ass, and they're galloping across the plains with the kind of precision you'd expect from a trained army. It's amazing.
But don't let that emptiness fool you, because it holds its own dangers. And I'm not talking about the weather, not yet. I'm talking about the ferocious Tibetan mastiffs that guard the nomads' tents. As the author describes it, these huge dogs wearing these bright red collars would just explode towards their car like a bullet from a gun, forcing Chetan to swerve and brake like crazy.
And, well, you guessed it, Chetan's warning about the snow, it becomes a reality. As they climb higher and higher, the road just vanishes. The landscape itself becomes the enemy, blocking their path with these treacherous patches of ice and deep, deep snowdrifts.
You know, this is where you see that Tisen's not just a driver, he's a high-altitude problem solver. He actually gets out of the car and single-handedly starts throwing dirt onto a big icy patch just to create some grip. Then he expertly maneuvers the vehicle around a second, even deeper drift where one wrong move could have been a total disaster. They finally make it to the top of the pass at 5,515 meters. To put that in perspective, that is over 18,000 feet up. The air is dangerously thin, and bam, our narrator gets hit with his blinding headache. The physical cost of this journey is no longer some far-off threat. It's here, and it is painful.
So they've conquered the pass, and they start descending back into the world of towns and people. But as they're about to find out, the human landscape can be just as challenging and, frankly, just as disappointing as the natural one. Their arrival at the town of Hor is a perfect example. It sits on the shore of Tibet's most sacred lake, Manasarova, and it is a huge letdown. I mean, you read these old accounts of travelers who were so moved they burst into tears, and our author finds a grim, dusty town just filled with garbage. It's this really jarring clash between the ideal of a holy place and its modern-day reality.
The physical toll of the journey hits this absolutely terrifying peak in the next town, Darchen. His cold gets worse, his sinuses are completely blocked, and as he lies there trying to sleep, he gets this chilling feeling, almost like a voice in his head, telling him that if he falls asleep, he might never wake up. It's a genuine life-or-death fear, all brought on by the extreme altitude.
Sajitan, seeing how bad it is, takes him to a Tibetan medical college. And let me tell you, there are no white coats or stethoscopes here. The doctor just takes his pulse and gives him a 5-day course of traditional medicine, a mix of brown powders and these little dark pellets that look, well, a lot like sheep dung.
And here's the crazy part. The medicine actually works. After a full night's sleep, our narrator feels so much better. Seeing this, Titsan basically says, "Okay, my job is done," and gets ready to leave.
And his parting words? It's this incredible mix of Buddhist philosophy and hardcore business sense. And just like that, the narrator is completely, utterly alone.
So the physical crisis is over, but now a totally different kind of challenge starts to creep in. This isn't a crisis of the body anymore. It's a crisis of purpose. He's finally healthy enough to do the Korah, but he runs into this massive problem. He's too early. The pilgrimage season hasn't started yet, the trail is probably still covered in snow, there's nobody else around, and he does not want to attempt this sacred walk all by himself. He's recovered from his illness only to find himself completely and totally stuck.
This time, just being forced to wait, it almost becomes its own kind of pilgrimage. With nowhere to go, the journey has to turn inward. It stops being about just walking a trail and becomes about confronting his own impatience, about finding a new respect for the rhythms of nature, and really beginning to understand the incredible faith that pulls people to this remote corner of the world. So there he is, just sitting in Darchan's only cafe, thinking about how few options he has, when a chance encounter happens that changes, well, pretty much everything.
He meets a guy named Norbu, and Norbu is definitely not the devout, weathered pilgrim you might picture. He's a Tibetan academic from Beijing, he's dressed sharply, and he works for a big institution. Now, here's the thing. He knows everything there is to know about the Kailash Korah from books and ancient texts, but he's never actually done it himself.
When Norbu finds out why our narrator is there, his eyes just light up. This idea of teaming up, these two scholars leaving their books behind to go experience the real thing, it feels like fate. And you know, the narrator had been trying this little positive thinking exercise, and suddenly it seems like it's actually working.
Okay, so Norbu is hardly the perfect spiritual sidekick. He's overweight, he's already complaining about the altitude, and his interest is way more academic than it is religious. But his enthusiasm is infectious. Plus, he's got a practical plan to hire yaks to carry their luggage, and the narrator realizes that this funny, imperfect partnership might just be the perfect, and maybe the only, way for him to finally complete his Korah.
And their decision to team up really brings us to the biggest question of the whole story. The narrator set out alone, right? He was looking for this profound, solitary spiritual experience. And he did find it, just not at all in the way he expected. It wasn't through lonely hardship, but through this funny, unexpected partnership. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is it that truly turns a journey into a pilgrimage? That's something to think about.